Welcome to the Cotuit Kettleers pregame show, everybody. Alongside me, Ben Fisher, who's a tall baby with a laptop. I'm Zach Kaplan, coming to you live from Lowell Park today, where the Cotuit Kettleers take on the Wareham Gateman. The second time the Gatemen have come to Lowell Park this season, the third time these two teams have met. It has not fared well for the Kettleers the first two times. They lost 4-1 back at Clem-Spillane Field just over the bridge back on June 14th, the second game of the season. And then the Kettleers lost 8-1 back at Lowell Park here on July 3rd. Ben, I want to bring you in here now. How are things going for you personally, first of all, and then second of all? It seems like they're in this rut with the Gatemen. What does Cotuit have to do to seem to get out of it? It's the first place team in the Western Division. It'd be a big win for the Cats today.
Well, I'm excellent. Thank you for asking. That's very polite of you.
You're welcome.
You're great. But yeah, I mean, it's not really a failure to crack them. It's not like if you were losing two games pretty badly to, say, Brewster or Orleans, that would be a problem. But Wareham just has looked better than everybody else this year. So I think losing two games to them, especially when the first game was pretty close, and that second game came sort of in that rut they fell into in the beginning of July. So I would say this is really a game where I wouldn't be looking as much at the previous games that these two teams have matched up as I would for other teams, because I think both teams look different. Both teams sort of are playing different at this point. So I think cracking them is not something you should be worried about. I think the Kettleers have to be worried about coming out, playing their game the way they've played it when they've been winning recently, and avoiding the pitfalls they've been falling into when they haven't been playing as well.
The first in a home and home for the Kettleers today. They will travel to Clem-Spillane Field tomorrow with the game in the first home and home and the only scheduled one of the season for Cotuit. They'll have two more meetings after that, one at each field as they go down the season here. And let's recap things from yesterday now. A tough loss at Hyannis. This team, they seem like they're stuck in that win one, lose one, win two, lose one. Seems like a lot of the Cape League is in that rut right now. The dog days of summer perhaps are hitting the 10 teams, and Cotuit no stranger to that as well. Talk about the good there. Thomas Dillard hits one out to right there as a sandstorm comes in for the Sahara Desert that is our infield. So Thomas Dillard hits one out into the right field seats. There was a lot of wind blowing yesterday at McKeon Park, right on the water in Hyannis. So that was some good. Reynolds stayed hot. You know, you wrote about him last night. And then Bryce Bonden looked good. But the bad was just that hit parade in the 7th inning. It seemed like it was hit after hit after hit that put the Harbor Hawks in front where they would hold on for the eventual win.
Yeah, it was. I mean, for Dillard to hit that ball out was incredibly impressive with the wind just blowing in. That just shows the brute strength he has and his ability to really square a ball up when he's hitting well, to take a ball out like that. Reynolds, yeah, he's continued to look good. He talked a lot. You talked to Coach Roberts, I talked to Reynolds. They said similar things about their fundamentals. They said they're working on keeping him still at the plate in terms of his fundamentals, keeping him aggressive in terms of his approach at the plate. So he's been doing a great job up there. And yeah, Bonnen threw well out of the bullpen. The stat line didn't show it, but he certainly, for the first time throwing in a couple weeks, he threw very well. And then yeah, the Hyannis sort of found a way to take the wind out of. The wind was a huge factor yesterday, and they found a way to take it out of the game in that 7th inning just by hitting one of singles through the infield, allowing the Kettleers to sort of make their own mistakes. So it was a tough one yesterday. But it was not without bright spots, but it's definitely one I think they want to move on from and try to find a different approach today to try to take down first place team in the division.
It seemed like Coach Roberts had a similar refrain after the game when I spoke to him. Kettleers is trying to get back in it with a lot of divisional matchups today, which makes today's game ever more crucial. We're going to talk about that when we go around the Cape League in just a few moments. So first, we're going to talk about today's starting lineup for the Kettleers. It's a little different than we're used to here. A lot of lineup changes going in. Coach Roberts maybe trying to shake things up a little bit. So we'll read it off to you, and then we'll go over it. Some interesting changes for sure. It starts with Zach Bierman leading off, the designated hitter. You don't see DHs a lot in the one spot, let alone Zach Bierman. They had Bierman in that hole yesterday. We'll talk about that in a second. Michael Tolia batting second, playing left field for the Kettleers, followed by Thomas Dillard in the 3 spot, playing first base. Well, Robertson in the cleanup hole, playing right field. He had been in the leadoff spot a lot for at least for a stretch of games, I would say, and it seems like Bierman and him kind of flip-flopped, if you will. Ryan Reynolds in the 5 spot, playing third. He looks to continue his hot hitting ways. Duke Ellis back in the lineup today, playing center field, batting 6th. Brady Smith back in the lineup as well, playing second today, batting 7th. And then Zach Humphreys in the 8 spot, the catcher, and Adam Oviedo in the 9 spot at shortstop. He has heated up nicely at the plate the last few days, and they'll all be in the field for John Baker, who makes the start today. He has been Cotuit's arguably most reliable starter this season from Ball State, and he is tough. just plain old hard to hit.
He's looked sensational. He's not, we talked about, he's not overpowering. He's in the low 90s. He's a fastball, a curveball, and a changeup. But just, he mixes them so well. He mixes speeds. He mixes locations. He gets ahead in the count. And when you're 0-2 on 50% of the guys you're facing, like it feels like he is, you don't need overpowering stuff. You don't need to be throwing 100 or throwing a curveball that breaks from a guy's nose down to his ankles. You can just sort of throw good stuff, and when you have guys on their heels like Baker gets, you're going to get outs. And then you mentioned the lineup setup. Yeah, it's not a traditional look. You don't see sort of a big hulking power hitter like Zach Bierman hitting first. And my first thought when I looked at the lineup, I was curious because I thought we have Will Robertson. We have a guy who I think of as maybe the best leadoff hitter in this league going there. I was talking to Sam Niederman, one of our excellent broadcasters. He showed me his scorebook. Will Robertson, in his first at bat of the game, he leads off the game, and he is the first batter of the Kettleers on the plate. He's hitting under 100 in just those at bats. And he said that through 20 games, I believe what Sam said was that they had 14 1-2-3 first innings. So shaking up the top of that order, I think initially I was confused, but I think when you're shaking it up, when you look at it through the lens of those stats, I think it makes a little bit more sense. I'm not sure I would make these precise changes with such an unorthodox lineup setup. But I mean, Bierman led off last night and he had 2 hits. And really everybody in this lineup can run at least a little bit. So I think I think Coach Roberts doesn't really care about traditional lineup setups. I think he just wants his best hitters at the top of the order. He wants to get them as many at bats as possible. I think this is the setup that he thinks will do that with us.
So now let's talk about the Wareham Gateman. 16-10 on the season. They're tied for the league lead, that is, with 32 points with YD in the Eastern Division. And they have a lineup of their own today. The Kettleers are dodging a huge bullet with Austin Shenton taking his first scheduled off day so far on the Cape. He has been one of the top guys in the league for average, a surefire Cape League All-Star when that roster gets revealed later this week. The All-Star game just 10 days from now at White House Field in Harwich. But regardless, let's look at the starting lineup here. For Ryan Garcia, who starts on the mound for Wareham, but leading off is Isaac Collins playing right field, Sahid Valenzuela, the 2-hitter, playing second, Jeremy Edens, the 3-hitter, playing left, Lyle Lockhart in the cleanup spot playing first, Pavin Parks, who's also, I think, on the all-name team. I think we can put him in there. Pavin Parks, the third baseman, batting fifth, and then a couple of former Kettleers here in the bottom part of the order. John Martinelli at catcher today in the 6th spot, Ryan Creedler in the 7th spot playing shortstop, and then Jacob Goldfarb, who we've seen earlier this season, the designated hitter from Oregon, in the 8th spot today. Skylar Hunter is in the 9th spot playing center field, all for Garcia, who toes the rubber for the Gateman. So Edens and Garcia, seems like these two guys, Edens at least in the field and at the plate playing pretty well. What can you tell me about Garcia on the mound?
Garcia, he's very solid. You're not going to get a lot of bad pitches coming out of UCLA. They produce real talent. You look at Trevor Bauer. They put out good pro talent, and that certainly means that they have great college talent. He only has 3 earned runs on 12 hits and 3 walks in 12 innings. He struck out 16 guys in those 12 innings. He hasn't been going very deep in games, which is 12 innings over 3 starts. But he's been giving them solid starts to games and being able to turn it over to their pretty reliable bullpen. He just works, he's a pretty simple pitcher. He works fastball, curveball, changeup, and slider. He throws his fastball a little bit more than half the time. So those secondary pitches are very much secondary for him. But he's going to work them in, they're going to be effective, and he's going to get outs today against the Kettleers.
So there you have it, the Wareham lineup, that is. And you'll notice a lot of people walking through and around today. It's one of our camp nights here at Little Park, so a lot of parents around, a lot of kids around. And directly to our right, a lot of kids getting autographs signed by the players. Seems like most of the team in the dugout there trying to support the local youth that come out to our camps. Shameless plug. There's still time to sign up for them this summer, so feel free to check them out. But if you're wondering, the parents coming in and out, that would be the reason why. Let's go around the Cape Cod Baseball League, looking at last night's games. A lot of interesting results. We start off with a huge upset. In fact, it doesn't get any bigger than this upset. Brewster defeating YD 6-1. Don't look now, but the Whitecaps have won 2 straight games after we declared them dead on arrival. So the Whitecaps, I don't want to call it a comeback, in a pretty stacked Eastern Division. It seems fairly set playoff-wise, but Brewster's starting to get back into it slowly but surely. We mentioned Hyannis 5-2 over the Kettleers last night at McKeon Park. Then Falmouth 5-2 over Bourne, so a little bit of a shake-up in the division there. We'll get to that when we read off our standings. And then Wareham 9-2 over Chatham. The Gatemen just keep on going. For the Gatemen's sake, that is, they'll hope to continue doing that today, and for Cotuit, they'll try to stop it. And then Harwich 9-3 over Orleans, getting back on track. They lost 3 straight going into Eldridge last night, but the Mariners, that is, able to get the win. Now let's look at the standings in the East Division. It is YD who remains the standard bearer in the Eastern Division, 14-8-4, 32 points for the Red Sox on the year. Chatham, the Anglers 12-12-2 with 26 points. Then Harwich 12-14-1, 25 points, and then Orleans right behind them 10-15-1 for 21 points. Brewster 6-18-3 with 15 points. They are the basement of the Eastern Division. And it seems like things are starting to stay the same, but maybe Brewster gets back in it. It seems like they've won 2 straight now. But again, a lot of that win 1, lose 2, win 2, lose 1 kind of chain going on here in the dog days of the summer.
Certainly, and for my own sake, as an analyst, I would really like Brewster to fall apart pretty selfishly, because I talked at the beginning of the season a lot about how Wareham was losing a lot of their key players to USA. I was saying they were going to fall apart. They haven't. We were declaring Brewster dead, and by we I mostly mean I, 5 times in the last week, and it hasn't panned out that way. So I selfishly would like them to go down. They look like they've started to show some more fight overall in individual games this season, and to win 2 after blowing a 7-run lead against Orleans earlier in the week shows really a good fight and a good spirit in that team. They have a long way to go before I would call them anything resembling contenders, but we may have written their obituary a little bit prematurely.
So we'll see if we did or not. Well, only time will tell here. In the West Division, it seems like it sort of stayed the same, but a lot of movement below Wareham. Wareham remains up top with 32 points, tied with YD for the league lead. 16-10, the only team, again, still without a tie on their record. Hyannis right behind them at 14-8-2, 30 points for the Harbor Hawks. Bourne 13-11-1, 27 points for them. So a game and a half back of Hyannis, if you will. Then it's Falmouth 12-13-1, 25 points, so a game back of Bourne. And then the Kettleers are tied with the Commodores at 25 points. So both are a game back of Bourne. So a Bourne loss and a Cotuit win tonight puts them right back into that tied for third hold that the Kettleers seem to be bouncing back and forth from between that and last place.
Yeah, this whole division is really, really tightly grouped together. I mean, the points tell you that, but also just seeing who's beaten who. I mean, you've seen Falmouth, you've seen everybody in this division really. It seems like manhandle somebody ahead of them and get manhandled by somebody behind them. So this division, certainly they don't have the separation you see in the East Division when you have Orleans and Brewster way behind. So any of these teams can really make a run and be right back in the hunt for first place. I think Wareham has sort of demonstrated, even though they're only 2 points ahead, they just look better. I would really group it, even though it's only a 2-point difference. I would say it's Wareham and everybody else, as opposed to, you could look at it and say it's Wareham, Hyannis, and everybody else. I wouldn't give Hyannis that top tier billing yet. I haven't seen in them, in the games we've seen with the Kettleers, what we've seen out of there against other teams. I haven't seen enough that I can confidently put them up in that top tier of the league. But I think right now it's just Wareham in the West and YD in the East. But I think all of these teams have the potential, if they make a run, to get out there. Hyannis obviously the closest. But I would say right now, even though it's only a 2-point gap, Wareham right now just looks, based off their performances and the eye test, they look head and shoulders ahead of everybody else. We'll see whether that carries them over to it tonight.
Kettleers hoping they can get a win without Austin Shenton in the game. It's just a game changer, it seems like, for that Wareham lineup. But we were talking to the Wareham broadcasters. It was his first scheduled day off. He has not had a day off since he came to the Cape. And this is a guy who was batting 400 just a few days ago. He's hovering right around that 400 line. Most guys worry about the Mendoza line. This guy's talking Ted Williams territory, although not the same ballpark, literally and figuratively. But still, you got to give credit where it's due. And I want to ask you one more thing, Ben, about the upcoming schedule. So Again, they're in Wareham tomorrow. They go to Clem Spillane Field. And then Friday, or tomorrow is Friday, I should say, they go to Hyannis Saturday. They host Falmouth here Sunday before the off day at Fenway Park on Monday. All divisional games. And it's easy to kind of say it when, these games are right in front of you. This has to be the most crucial 5-game stretch of their season so far.
Oh, it's incredibly crucial. I think you have 5 straight divisional games. You're gonna see the guys ahead of you. I mean, if you're in last, everybody's ahead of you. But you're seeing guys you got to make up ground on, and you're really seeing who your regular season measuring stick is. Seeing teams from the East, it's important to see you beat them. But really, you're looking at, as you're getting down the stretch of the second half, you're looking at, okay, what can we do against these kind of teams, and how could we beat them in a 3-game series? So I think to win these games, first off, just sort of to gather information on them, to see how they play now that the rosters are set, to see how you as Cotuit match up with them. Now that your roster is set is incredibly important. And obviously in terms of just pure wins and losses, if you can pick up these 4 games you play in the next 4 days, that's huge in terms of getting yourself in a playoff spot. They could pick up, over 4 games, they could pick up 8 points for 4 wins. And that could really, really help to pick up those points. So I think these are, you can't, calling it a must-win feels hyperbolic in early July. But these are certainly crucial games, both emotionally and mathematically for this Kettleers team.
Kettleers will look to do just that over the next 4 games. Chance to pick up 4 points over the next 2 games of the game and would close them to within 3 points of the game in the first place game, and that is if they're able to get there these next couple of games, if you will. First pitch is just a few moments away here. The Kettleers again in the first game of a home-and-home series with the Wareham Gateman. The home game tonight here at Lowell Park. It's camp night, so you can tell right in front of us here. A lot of parents, a lot of kids. They're all over the place. The entire dugout is filled, really. It's like a zoo in there. So, crowd piling in tonight. It's nice to see that from Lowell Park. It was kind of a spotty crowd the other day, not trying to call people out, but with the double makeup game against Orleans, it just seemed like a little bit of empty cupboards here at the stands, but not so much today. Let's talk about tonight's games briefly before we send it up to our broadcasters. Harwich will go to and not to mention all divisional games tonight except for one. We'll tell you which one that is in a second. Harwich goes to Brewster tonight, 5 o'clock start. Brewster looking to make it 3 straight tonight. Would be their first 3-game winning streak of the season. It would be 3 of their 7 wins of the season if they are to get it, but that's the way it stands. Orleans will go to YD for a chance to, at least for the Firebirds that is, try and climb up the standings. They've had some wild ones with YD this year. They had a 10-9 game on opening day, so it seems like their wild games kind of continue here. It might tonight, we'll see. And then Wareham Cotuit right in front of us here just a few moments from now. Hyannis at Falmouth in a game that could definitely see some flip-flopping in the Western Division, with Hyannis at 30 points and Falmouth at 25, so a big chance for the Commodores to start to close that gap. And then Bourne at Chatham, the only interdivision game tonight. That's the one starting out at 7 out in Foggy Veterans Field. So all divisional matchups aside from Bourne, real chance for some pivotal stuff tonight.
Oh yeah, certainly. I think, like we were just talking about, these divisional games are incredibly important. Both sort of concretely right in the moment, it's a game you gotta win, and also for down the line you need to prove that you can beat your divisional rivals, and you need to figure out how you can do it. So I think tonight is certainly a night that a lot of teams, you wouldn't necessarily circle it on your calendar, but I think once you get to the park you sort of have that feeling. It's a divisional matchup, we're getting towards the stretch run. This is a really important game for both of us. So I think you're going to see a lot of dogfights between 2 teams that really want to win these games coming out tonight.
Absolutely, 2 teams that definitely want to win. It's camp night, as you can see, a lot of parents in front of us here, like we mentioned throughout the broadcast, but that'll just about do it for us. We'll be in Wareham tomorrow night over the bridge. Good luck to y'all if you're going to try to get out to Spillane Field. Wouldn't wish it on my worst enemy on a Friday night on Cape Cod, but that's how it is. The Kettleers will take it with the punches, and they will head up there tomorrow before they go to Hyannis Saturday, then come back here. First Responders Day on Sunday against Falmouth here at home. I know it's going to be a big deal here. Nero, Officer Sean Gannon's dog, may you rest in peace, will be in attendance, as well as various members of our local law enforcement. So definitely going to be a big happening on Sunday. Then they'll be at Fenway Park Monday. We're going to tell you a lot more about that on Sunday. Should be a really cool happening there. A workout for all 10 Cape Cod teams at America's most beloved ballpark. Looking beautiful at 106 years old. Now that'll just about do it for us. It's in the mid-70s here today. It's beautifully sunny. Clouds very minimal, and I think that's about it for us. And Ben, I want to end. I have a joke for you. What do you get when you mix a Hoosier and a Wildcat?
I don't know. What do you get?
You get our broadcast booth. Let's send it up to Sam Niederman and Sam Brief, who have the call for today's game. Guys, it's all yours. Take it away.
Oh, I love it. Zach Kaplan and Ben Fisher, a Terrapin and a Nittany Lion down there doing the pregame show for you. Happy to have you with us. Welcome into Lowell Park. You could not ask for a better day for baseball. Sunny skies overhead, crystal clear, and it's the Cotuit Kettleers hosting the Western Division leading Wareham Gateman. How you doing today? Doing all right? Hope you are, and we're so happy that you're aboard. Sam Niederman alongside Sam Brief here in the broadcast booth in the Lowell Park press box. Sam, big game for the Kettleers today, the first of a home-and-home to close out this big week against the Wareham Gatemen, who have had Cotuit's numbers so far this season.
Absolutely. If you want to make the playoffs in the West, you have to beat the best in the West, and certainly Wareham this season has been the toast of the division. Two pretty convincing wins over the Kettleers this year, with the first one being last week, an 8-1 win, and just Wareham had a lot of hits. They just kept on hitting 13 singles, 15 hits, up and down their lineup. Just so many hits, they just couldn't stop, really. These Gatemen are good. They have a good offense. I think we're going to see two good arms out today. But this is an important game for the Kettleers, this two-game stretch. You can kind of jumble these games up into two. It's like a doubleheader. We just sleep in between. It's a big set for Cotuit.
Let's go back to last night for the Kettleers at Hyannis, Game 4 of the Barnstable Patriot Cup. And it goes in favor of the Harbor Hawks, who take a 5-2 victory. Cotuit's offense struggling. The pitching debut of Keegan Gillis along with Bryce Bonin. They did well. Unfortunately, not enough run support, and that's just been the common theme for the Kets this season.
You're not going to win many games when all of your runs come in one inning. And sadly for the Kettleers, that's happened 9 times this season. Their only runs came off the Thomas Dillard 2-run home run in the 6th, which was a mighty impressive home run going in against the wind that was howling in furiously last night. It was an impressive home run for Thomas Dillard, but unfortunately there was just no run production after that. The Kettleers only strung together back-to-back hits twice during that game. That's just not going to cut it, especially against a good team like Hyannis, and today against an even better team in Wareham.
Hyannis rallied in that 7th inning. They put together 3 consecutive RBI singles in that frame to take a 5-2 lead, and eventually they brought it on home. And Cotuit drops to 12-1 on the season. Wareham coming into today 16-10, best in the Western Division, 2 points up on Hyannis. Cotuit currently tied points-wise with Falmouth at the bottom of the division with 25. Top 4 teams of each division make the playoffs, so it's going to get tight as the Kettleers look to finish out this Western Division slate at home against Wareham today, and then of course going across the bridge against the Gatemen tomorrow. Today's pitching matchup, the Kettleers trying to get back on a winning track, and they go to the man that's helped them do that a few times already this season. John Baker, the right-hander, opposite another right-hander from UCLA, Ryan Garcia, 2 of the best in the Cape League so far, and the Kettleers going with their ace.
Certainly. John Baker is the ace for the Kettleers, one of the best pitchers on the Cape this season. He's one of just 2 pitchers on the Cape this year who's thrown 20 innings and has given up just 1 walk on the season. The other is a familiar name for us in the Kettleers. That's Jared DeCesare in Bourne. So John Baker really is the cream of the crop in the Cape. He's been totally solid, 27 strikeouts, a 2.17 ERA. This is a guy who's going to get in a rhythm early. He'll give up hits here and there. You might see a game where he gives up north of 6 or 7 hits, but he's not going to walk anyone. He's not going to make too many mistakes, and he's going to keep the Kettleers competitive.
John Baker, he came in a spot last week when the Kettleers needed a big win, and that was against Hyannis, an 8-3 victory on July the 7th. That was the past Saturday. Today is Thursday. Season is flying by. Hard to believe that we're already at the halfway point. And here we are at Lowell Park, ready to get set for some baseball between the Cotuit Kettleers and the Wareham Gatemen. We'll take a pause for our national anthem, starting lineups, and the first pitch coming up next. Let's go to Coach Roberts. We caught up with him before the game with a pregame interview.
Down on the field here with Coach Roberts, getting ready for the Wareham Gateman today. First game of a home-and-home to close out the week. Coach John Baker on the mound today easily has been the best pitcher for Cotuit so far this season with a 2.17 ERA. What can you say about his performance so far?
Well, John competes, and that's the first word that I would use with John, as well as we've been talking a lot about Ken Revisa this week, who passed away a few days ago, and his book, Heads Up Baseball 2.0, and, you know, if all else fails, you compete. And that's usually what he does every time he goes to the mound.
Where it's a dog days of July, each day is a new day, and you go out to compete like you mentioned. In your words, how do you define a winning attitude?
Well, that's a great question, and there are lots of different definitions to a winning attitude. You know, some people talk about, okay, that, you know, when you walk through this fence right here, okay, what is my attitude like when I come through that fence? Am I already turned on? And the purpose I'm here is to get a win for the Cotuit Kettleers. You know, other people would say, okay, I got to do it every pitch. You know, I got to be there as we talk about every pitch. For me, a winning attitude is more confidence than anything, not cockiness. There's a big difference. Is that you have confidence in your ability, and then when each player goes to the plate, the next player, the next player, the next player.
It's Lowell Park, one of the finest facilities in all the Cape Cod Baseball League, and that's the setting for today's matchup between the Cotuit Kettleers and the Wareham Gateman. The Gateman leading the Western Division, taking on the Kettleers today in the first of a home-and-home to wrap up this week. A big stretch for Cotuit. Happy to have you along with us, Sam Niederman, alongside Sam Brief. Big game for the Kettleers today. John Baker, the right-hander, getting the ball for Cotuit. Opposite the right-hander, Ryan Garcia. We've seen the Kettleers against some talented pitchers, and that's sort of been a buzzsaw. What can the lineup do today to get the bats going against another talented arm out of UCLA?
It's got to be hits early and often, because the times this season we've seen those aces come in. We saw one for Wareham last time out at Lowell Park. Joey Matulovic, Alec Manoa, Jared DeCesare, these are all names that probably ring a bell, and that's because they just dominated the Kettleers by establishing a rhythm, 1, 2, 3 innings in the first, second, maybe even the third. So the Kettleers need the top of their order, Bierman, Tolia, Dillard, Robertson, which are all power hitters, big bats. They need to make a dent in Ryan Garcia early on and establish that the Kettleers can get some offense going.
It is a camp night here at Lowell Park, as many of the campers that participate throughout the week with the Cotuit players are in attendance. They were out on the diamond for the national anthem with the Kettleers, and it is also Cancer Awareness Night here at Lowell Park, and a couple of folks who have battled cancer are throwing out first pitches tonight, including our good friend Gavin, who is a part of a Kettleers baseball clinic, a 7-year-old. Hope for Gavin, the rallying cry, and he's throwing out the first pitch tonight along with another gentleman as well. So everybody looking on, and a beautiful first pitch there to start us off. How about that? There's Gavin's first pitch, just about as good as it can get to start you off for some baseball here at Lowell Park. So it's the Kettleers and the Wareham Gateman meeting. An opponent today that has dominated most of the opponents that they've faced. Wareham coming off of a 9-2 win over Chatham yesterday, where they got the bats going, improving to 16-10 on the season. Cotuit dropping the game at Hyannis 5-3 rather, and dropping to 500 on the season. 12-12-1 the record for Cotuit. Good crowd on hand here at Lowell Park. A beautiful day for baseball. 75 degrees, clear blue skies overhead, and it is as picture perfect as you would like here at this beautiful park in Lowell Park. Let's get you the starting lineups for today's game, starting with the visiting Wareham Gateman, managed by Don Sneddon in his second season in charge. His starting 9 that he changed up last night at Chatham. It got him some offense, producing 9 runs. He sticks with the same kind of lineup today. Leading off is the right fielder Isaac Collins, followed by Sahid Valenzuela, the second baseman, batting second. Jeremy Idens, the left fielder, hitting third. Lyle Lockhart Jr. is the first baseman. He bats cleanup. Paven Parks, the third baseman, batting fifth. John Martellini, a name that you might be familiar with, a former Cotuit Kettleer. He's the catcher for Wareham, batting sixth. Ryan Kreidler, the shortstop, batting seventh. Jacob Goldfarb, another name you might be familiar with, a former Cotuit Kettleer that started here this summer, was released a week ago, picked up by Wareham. He's in the starting lineup today, batting eighth as a designated hitter. And rounding out the Wareham order, Skylar Hunter, the center fielder, batting ninth. Once again for the Gateman on the road, Isaac Collins in right, Valenzuela at second, Idens in left, Lockhart the first baseman, Parks at third, Martellini the catcher, Kreidler at shortstop, Goldfarb the DH, and Hunter in center field behind the right-hander Ryan Garcia. For the Cotuit Kettleers, their starting pitcher, John Baker, making his sixth start of the season. That is the best and the most in the Cape League. 3-2 record, 2.17 earned run average. He's struck out 27 batters in 29 innings pitched. Those 27 strikeouts tied for the second most in the league. What can you say? You heard Mike Roberts in the pregame interview talking about Bake. He competes. He's just a gamer.
You want a starting pitcher if you're going to have an ace that you depend on. You need him to be consistent, you need him to be dependable, and you need him to avoid mistakes. And those are three things that John Baker has done nearly flawlessly this year. The only way to beat John Baker is to hit the ball really hard, because he's not going to throw wild pitches. He's not going to walk you 5 times a game. He's so solid. And his biggest test of the season probably against Wareham, and such an explosive offense with really good hitters up and down the order. No Austin Shenton in the lineup today. That's a plus for Cotuit. Shenton, who led the league in batting average up until last night when he was dropped down to number 2 behind Matthew Barefoot. But John Baker still has a big test today. We'll see if he's up to the task.
Isaac Collins, the right fielder out of Creighton, will lead things off for Wareham, followed by Valenzuela and Idens. The right-hander, John Baker, on the mound for Cotuit. From Ball State University in Muncie, Indiana, 6'3", 210 pounds, a rising junior, hailing from Heartland, Michigan. Collins batting from the left side. Baker winds up and deals in a first pitch strike, and we're underway here at Lowell Park. Starting defense for Mike Roberts' Cotuit Kettleers. Ryan Reynolds at third base. Adam Oviedo, the shortstop. Brady Smith gets the call at second, and Thomas Dillard at first. Second pitch of the day is tailed into left field. Isaac Collins with a base hit, and he starts things off for the Gateman, getting on first base, a leadoff single.
Isaac Collins has been a solid player, kind of like Will Robertson, his college teammate at Creighton. Started off as a temporary player, upgraded to permanent. Nice little slice there into left.
Rest of the Cotuit defense, Michael Tolia is the left fielder, Duke Ellis playing center field, and Will Robertson in right field. Battery mate with John Baker is Zach Humphreys, the catcher out of TCU. Bake immediately out of the stretch to start this game and sails a fastball up and away for ball one. On Sahid Valenzuela, second baseman from Cal State Fullerton, that has been a nice piece in this Wareham lineup. A .351 batter, 20 hits and 57 at-bats, 1 home run and 12 driven in. Collins taking his lead at first. He'll leap back towards the bag as Baker picks over. He's safe. Thomas Dillard making his first start of the season at first base. A little interesting defense here for the Kettleers as Mike Roberts switching things up.
Absolutely. You have the Texas left side of the infield with Oviedo at TCU, Reynolds from Texas, and then the SEC right side of the infield.
The 1-0 to Valenzuela, ripped on the right side and fouled down the right field line. 1-1 to count now. A leadoff single from Isaac Collins has Wareham cooking already on the road. Infield at double play depth for Cotuit, Oviedo, and a new middle infield double play mate in Brady Smith, who gets his first start of the season at second base. They pinch in towards the second base bag. Outfield is straight up. Baker's set out of the stretch, and now he'll throw back over to first. Collins dives back in safely.
And Brady Smith at second base, he's no stranger to the infield. 23 starts at first base last year in Gainesville, 9 at third base. So none at second base, but he's familiar with the infield, and we'll see how mobile he looks out there.
Baker ready for the 1-1. Breaking pitch, high and away. A 2-1 count now on Valenzuela. No score here in the first inning, just underway. Collins on first with a single. Nobody out. Saheed Valenzuela at the plate. Second baseman who bats from the left side. Slightly open stance, twirling the Blackwood bat. And Baker comes set once again on the mound. His pitch, fastball, ripped on the right side. Grounded foul once more. A 2-2 count. Kettleers in the home, white uniforms, the pinstripes, as always. A sharp look, trimmed in maroon, Kettleers across the chest. The maroon ball caps with the gray script C on the front. Wareham in the traveling navies today, trimmed in red. The letters and numerals, a Wareham W on the front left panel of the chest, and gray pants. Runner on and nobody out, 2-2 the count to Valenzuela. Baker once again will check over at the runner. That's the closest pick we've had, but once again Collins safe. Dillard at first base with the big tan first baseman's glove. Normally used to seeing Zach Bierman over there. He's in the starting lineup, but will be the designated hitter. Baker set once again, his 2-2, swing and a miss. He gets a lunging Valenzuela on a nice slider outside. And one down here in the first.
Really good pitch from Baker. Valenzuela is not a guy who's usually going to bite on that. A disciplined hitter, short swing, makes contact. But Baker made him look real silly there.
Jeremy Iden steps in. Left fielder from UCLA, a .351 batter with 1 home run, 16 RBI. He was big last night in the win against Chatham, going 3 for 5 with 3 driven in. He takes a big hack at a nice first pitch that's outside, a 79-mile-an-hour slider from Baker. 0-1 the count now. Runner on first base, Isaac Collins. 1 down here in the top of 1. Kettleer infield still at double play depth. The 0-1, big swing and a miss. Slider once again from Baker, and he's feeling that off-speed pitch.
This is a big UCLA day, too. Of course, Michael Tolley in the starting lineup for Cotuit, and then 2 Bruins in the starting lineup, plus the starting pitcher Garcia.
Baker out of Ball State representing the MAC. The 0-2. Fastball just off the plate. 1 ball and 2 strikes. Umpiring crew for today's game. It's Tim Carey behind the plate calling balls and strikes. John Patala is the first base umpire, and Brian Troop the third base umpire. Bake out of the stretch. He'll look back over to first once more to check on Collins. Kettleers at 500, tied in 4th place with Falmouth in the West. Wareham at 16-10, leading the Western Division. They had 18 wins a year ago in Don Snedden's first year. We're just over the halfway point, and they're already close to equaling their win total from a year ago. Bakes 1-2, runner going as Idens pops one high in the air towards right field. Robertson running in for it. He makes the catch with 2 hands near the line, and there's 2 down here in the first.
Good job from Baker with the top of this lineup. Those top 3 hitters. Without Austin Shenton in the lineup, that's the most important part with Collins, Valenzuela, and Iden. So good job getting through 2 of those 3. Now he's got to clean it up against the cleanup man.
That cleanup man is Lyle Lockhart Jr., the first baseman. Austin Shenton, as you mentioned, one of the top hitters in the Cape League, a .380 clip, second best batting average from Florida International. He gets the day off to start this game. 2 outs and a runner on. First pitch breaking ball is low to Lockhart. Wareham on the road, making their second trip to Lowell Park this season. They beat the Kettleers 8-1 on July the 3rd. Cotuit still looking for their first win over Wareham this year. As Baker comes set and now delivers the 1-0. Runner going. Humphreys fires down to second base. The tag from Oviedo, not in time as Collins slides in, and Wareham has a stolen base with 2 outs.
Good throw there, just a little late. Of course, a lot of speed with the leadoff man, Collins.
Collins swiping the bag there. He was second on the team with Creighton this past season with 12 stolen bases and 15 attempts. He's now at second with 2 outs. A 1-1 count to Lockhart. Pitch from Baker. Breaking ball. Outside corner called strike 2. Kettleers faithful on the third base side in the big grandstand. Pretty good crowd. Lots of hats, sunglasses with their backs to the sun. First base side, the aluminum bleachers, usually peppered with fans, and there's a few of them over there today as well. The 1-2, swing and a miss. John Baker, 2 strikeouts as he retires aside to begin this ball game. Scoreless between Cotuit and Wareham. For the Gateman in the opening frame, no runs on 1 hit, no Kettleer errors, and 1 man left in scoring position. As we head to the home half of the first, Kettleers come to the plate next here on the Cape Cod Baseball Network. Bottom of the first inning at Lowell Park. No score between the Cotuit Kettleers and the Wareham Gateman. Kettleers coming to the plate for the first time this afternoon. Facing off against the right-hander out of UCLA, Ryan Garcia. Starting lineup for the Kets, Zach Bierman batting leadoff for the 2nd straight day. He's the designated hitter. Followed by Michael Tolia, who plays left field and bats second. Thomas Dillard, the first baseman, batting third. Will Robertson is the right fielder hitting cleanup. Ryan Reynolds, the third baseman, batting fifth. Duke Ellison, center field, batting sixth. Brady Smith, the second baseman, who hits seventh. Zach Humphrey, the catcher, in the 8-hole. And Adam Oviedo, the shortstop, batting number 9. Once again for Cotuit, Bierman the DH, Tolia on left, Dillard the first baseman, Robertson in right, Reynolds at third, Ellison center, Smith at second, Humphreys behind the plate, and Oviedo at short. Zach Bierman to start things off, Michael Tolia on deck, and Thomas Dillard in the hole. The 6'1", 185-pound rising junior at UCLA, Ryan Garcia, comes on the rubber and winds up. His first pitch, a fastball, swung on and missed for strike one. Bierman last night against Hyannis, he went 2 for 5, couple of singles to start off the game, but never came around home to score. The 0-1 spotted in on the lower half of the zone, called strike, 90-mile-an-hour fastball from Ryan Garcia. Garcia 1-0 on the season, 2.25 earned run average, making his 4th start for the Gateman. The 0-2 is a fastball that dips in the dirt outside, 1-2 on Bierman. There you hear the Have a Hit audio clip going out over the loudspeakers here at Lowell Park. As a 1-2 is a looping breaking ball above the belt, 2-2 now on Bierman. Big man out of West Bend, Wisconsin, representing Coastal Carolina here on the Cape, batting from the left side. The windup from Garcia, his 2-2, fought back and toward the parking lot foul. Hopefully my car's all right. I actually have it a little closer than normal towards the stadium.
Are you in the splash zone?
I would say I'm in the splash zone.
Really?
A little closer to comfort
all
today.
Right, I'm going to have to inspect.
Now I am on the far right side, and that ball comes out on the third base side, which is a little farther away. A 2-2 hammered high in the air, deep to right field. The right fielder coming under it, it's Collins. Instead sliding, the center fielder Skylar Hunter will call him off and make a wonderful defensive play. How about that to retire the leadoff man? Bierman robbed of extra bases.
That was interesting defensively. It felt like it didn't need to be a sliding catch, but it's an out either way. And for Zach Bierman in leadoff, 2nd game in a row, Coach Roberts had nothing but good things to say about him before the game. How he performed as a pinch hitter against Orleans, getting a 2 RBI double to break a tie in that 7-run 8th inning. Compared him a little bit to Tommy LaStella. Of course, Coach Roberts works with the Cubs, and LaStella noted as the best pinch hitter in baseball.
There's a chop towards first from Michael Tolia on the first pitch. Lockhart takes it to the bag himself. Just like that, 2 outs here in the home half of the first.
Keep an eye on that matchup today. A pair of UCLA Bruins, Tolia and Garcia, in the same graduating class at UCLA. So I wonder if Tolia had a little scouting report for the team.
And of course, Jeremy Idens, the left fielder for Wareham too. Lots of UCLA
and Kreidler
flavor.
at shortstop.
Yep.
So it's kind of all these Wareham Gatemen from UCLA kind of ganging up on Tolia today.
Trying to represent Cotuit well. As there's 2 down and nobody on for Thomas Dillard. First pitch to Dilly is a breaking ball that loops in for ball 1. Rest of the Wareham defense is Pavin Parks at third base, Ryan Kreidler from UCLA at shortstop, Zahid Valenzuela at second, and Lockhart at first. The 1-0 lifted in the air, foul out of play on the left side. Jeremy Idens in left field, Skylar Hunter, who made the first catch of the day, in center, and Isaac Collins is the right fielder. John Martellini, former Cotuit Kettleer, back for his 3rd summer on the Cape, is the catcher with Garcia on the mound. 1-2, hit back foul by Dillard, or the 1-1. Now the count 1-2 on TD, who had the only run-producing hit of the night at Hyannis. Went 1 for 4 with that 2-run home run that tied the game in the 6th inning. 1-2 from Garcia. Swing and a miss on a nice curveball, and it's a perfect inning here in the first for Ryan Garcia on the mound of Wareham. And we head to the second. No score between the Kettleers and the Gatemen. You're listening to Cotuit Kettleers baseball here on the Cape Cod Baseball Network. Ready for the second inning here in Cotuit. John Baker to face 5, 6, and 7 in the Wareham lineup. Pavin Parks to lead things off, followed by John Martellini and Ryan Kreidler. Baker worked around a leadoff single in the first, stranded a runner at second after a stolen base, and he'll stand on the rubber out of the windup, facing off against Parks. First pitch fastball, called strike on the outside corner, 0-1 count. No score here in the second. Should have a great pitching matchup today. Baker opposite Garcia, as Bake gets a nice changeup there. Swing and a miss from Parks, and immediately ahead in the count. No balls and 2 strikes. Right-hander looks in. His 0-2 skied foul behind home plate. Heads up is the call, and that one will land on the concourse and go out of play. Probably some youngsters going for that ball. It was interesting the other day, we were at the Mashpee Senior Center at Sports Huddle Wednesday morning. As there's another swing and a miss. 0-2 pitch, changeup from Baker, his 3rd strikeout of the game as he retires Parks for the first out in the second. As I was saying though, we were in Mashpee talking with some seniors that love sports, and one of them was saying he'd been to a Cotuit game and made the claim that youngsters just don't go for foul balls anymore, but it must have just been a pretty boring foul ball because you could always bank on those youngsters going for the ball no matter what.
Especially at Harwich. Remember Harwich, they were really aggressive, about 30 per foul ball. The screams.
It was just an all-out amazing race kind of
was
vibe to get to the ball. Here's John Martellini, catcher from Boston College who stands in with nobody on and 1 out. A 2-0 pitch from Baker is in the dirt, breaking ball that misses, and now a 3-0 count.
Can't remember the last time John Baker rung up a 3-0 count. Name of the game for him is first pitch strike, so uncharacteristic.
Fastball called for a strike on the outside corner. Now 3-1 on Martellini. He's been really feeling the off speed today, and that's what he started the at-bat with.
And he has such good command. I mean, when he needs to throw a strike, he can. Not all guys are like that.
It's 3-1. He gets another strike there. 87-mile-an-hour fastball on the outside corner. And it's a full count now on Martellini. Martellini batting from the right side. Shin guard on his left front ankle. Slightly open stance. The full count offering. Fastball called strike on the outside corner. There's a comeback for John Baker from 3-0 to 3 strikes. His 4th strikeout of the game and 2 outs here in the 2nd inning.
He's really feeling it right now. That's 5 down in a row. You said it. The off-speed stuff is really working. He's pounding that outside corner, just freezing some of these really good Wareham hitters. We'll see if he can finish off a 1-2-3.
It's Ryan Kreidler, shortstop out of UCLA, who stands in. 269 batter with a home run and 9 RBI. Time called behind home plate by umpire Tim Carey. Now we're set to go. Kettleers infield. Shifting slightly for Kreidler, who takes ball 1 low. Brady Smith, the second baseman, shading shortly over towards the second base bag. A little more of a gap on the right side of the infield. Left side is straight up. 1-0 pitch, swing and a miss. Nice fastball upstairs to beat Kreidler 1-1. Kettleers went down in order in the home half of the first. John Baker already with 2 down in the second here against the Gateman. His 1-1. Curveball down outside. 2-1 now on Kreidler.
One of my favorite things about John Baker is his focus. The second he gathers himself, it doesn't matter what the batter's doing, how long the batter's taking. Baker just has ball in hand, staring down the batter.
2-1 pitch misses low. And now Baker falls behind in the count 3-1. Talked with Coach Mike Roberts before the game. The first word that came to mind when we asked him about Baker on the mound today, competitor. He just competes. The 3-1. Hit hard through the left side of the infield and bouncing towards left for a single. A 2-out base knock for Ryan Kreidler, and that'll extend the Wareham second.
That was a good piece of hitting from Kreidler. 2-out hitting has been a theme this year against the Kettleers. And with John Baker, he also works so quickly. I was told by his uncle, he was in Chatham, we were talking with his uncle and his parents, and his uncle said that once after a game, an umpire went up to him and thanked him for working so quickly. That's the name of the game for John.
He works fast, and he'll nod at the sign from Humphreys behind the plate, and comes set out of the stretch with a runner on. First pitch to Jacob Goldfarb is a ball away. Goldfarb, the former Kettleer, beginning as a temporary player. He made a few appearances going just 1 for 19. Was dropped last week and picked up by Wareham on waivers, and now he calls himself a gatekeeper as he takes up and in 2 balls and no strikes. So Goldfarb getting another opportunity on the Cape, this time with a Western Division rival. Leading hitter for the Oregon Ducks this past spring, he stands in with a runner on and 2 outs. Another throw over to first from Baker as Kreidler able to get back in safe.
And he's also succeeding so far with the Gateman. 2 for 5 in his 5 at-bats. He's got 2 doubles, 3 runs scored. Yesterday, he got on base 4 times, a double, 2 walks, and a hit by pitch. So good to see Goldie having some success on the other side of the canal.
He handles a red wood bat. As here's a 2-1 from Baker. It's down low. Another 3-0 count in this inning. Goldfarb with that red fire hydrant looking wood bat.
Right.
It matches the Wareham uniform. He had that in his final stages here in Cotuit. Maybe it was foretelling about where his next stop would be. Ahead in the count 3-0 with a runner on. Baker's 3-0. Fastball that misses low and away, and it's a 4-pitch walk. A rare walk for John Baker, as he has now 2 runners on with 2 outs. Just the second walk issued of the season from Bake. You don't see that every day.
And the first walk issued was exactly a month ago today in his opening day start against Brewster. So how about that? 1 month between his only 2 walks of the season. Pretty remarkable and pretty rare to see Baker throw a walk. But with runners on, he's got to keep trusting his stuff here. Still a 0-0 ball game, so no damage yet. And Skylar Hunter has been an easier out compared to the rest of the Wareham order.
Skylar Hunter standing in, batting from the left side, 2 on and 2 outs. As Baker comes set out of the stretch after the walk to Goldfarb. First pitch, fastball that catches the inside corner for strike 1. Little Indiana matchup here. Baker out of Ball State. Hunter from Purdue University in West Lafayette. Hunter batting 192 on the young season with 9 driven in. 0-2 from Baker. Off-speed pitch that's on the outside corner for strike 2. Already 4 strikeouts on the day for John Baker. That can make it 31 now for his total on the season. Good enough to tie the best mark on the Cape. The 0-2 in the dirt, blocked away by Humphreys, but it gets towards the right side, and that is a wild pitch, allowing both runners to advance up a bag. So 2 Gateman base runners now in scoring position. Goldfarb up to second base, Kreidler on third base, and a 1-2 count on Hunter. Kettleers outfield, straight up with Ellis at center, just towards the left center alley. Infield is playing normal as well, not holding on the runners. 1-2, curveball in the dirt, gets away from Humphreys. Kreidler chugging on home. He's in there standing up. And once again, another wild pitch allows a base runner to score against the Cotuit Kettleers. This time it's Wareham who takes a 1-0 lead here in the second.
Unfortunate there to see those 2 mistakes in a row, and you so rarely see that from this battery specifically. Zach Humphreys, the best defensive catcher in Cotuit, and John Baker, the best starting pitcher. Uncharacteristic, but the damage still minimal.
Goldfarb moves up to third. It's a 2-2 count on Hunter with 2 outs. Pitch from Baker, chopped high up the middle of the infield. Oviedo comes on to play it. A throw on to first, just in the nick of time, and that's the final out of the inning. But the Wareham Gatemen score first. 1 run on 1 hit, and no errors, 1 man left as we head to the home half of the second. Kettleers down by a run here on the Cape Cod Baseball Network. Kettleers down 1-0 against the Wareham Gatemen here in the bottom of the second inning. 4, 5, and 6 due up in the Cotuit lineup. Will Robertson, Ryan Reynolds, and Duke Ellis. Ryan Garcia, the right-hander from UCLA, on the mound for Wareham. His Gateman scoring a run on a wild pitch in the last inning when his UCLA teammate Ryan Kreidler came home to score. 1-0 Gateman. Here's Will Robertson. First pitch from Garcia, hit hard on a line on the right side, but out of play, foul. Will Robertson stepping in after going 0 for 2 last night against Hyannis. Came off the bench late in that ball game as a pinch hitter in the 6th inning. He got the beginning of the day off. Coach Mike Roberts wanted to give him some fresh legs, give him a little bit of a rest. Well, he'd been playing in pretty much every ball game with the exception of a few that he missed due to a wrist injury in the later part of June. But he stands in here batting cleanup today. Down in the count on Garcia, 0-2 after fouling off a pitch. Garcia winds up, The delivery, another curveball, this time in the dirt for ball 1.
I like the move to put Robertson lower in the order. He's someone who's thrived this season with runners in scoring position. His average way up with runners on base and down when he's the leadoff hitter. So putting him in cleanup, he offers a lot of pop with 2 home runs.
Garcia's 1-2, swung on and missed. Nice changeup on the outside part of the plate. And Robertson down on strikes for the first out of the bottom of the second.
Good sequence from Garcia, pounding that outside corner, going low and away there. This guy's one of the best pitchers on the Cape as well, 2.25 ERA on the season, and he doesn't walk a lot of guys, just like John Baker, 16 strikeouts, just 3 walks.
Ryan Reynolds at the plate, 1 out and nobody aboard as he takes the ball low. Reynolds, a good day yesterday against Hyannis, 2 for 4 with a double. He's had a nice little bat lately. Drove in 3 against Orleans the previous game. And he swings and misses there at a fastball, 1-1 the count. 1-0 Wareham on top here in the bottom of the second inning at Lowell Park. 1-1 from Ryan Garcia. Breaking pitch, hit off the end of the bat, foul on the left side. Kettleers still in search of their first hit of the ball game. Slow starts have been something we've seen this season from Cotuit offensively. Took them until the 6th inning last night to score 2 on a home run from Thomas Dillard against Hyannis. Looking to score early and often. That was one of our keys to the game in the open. Swing and a miss on a curveball there from Reynolds. 2 consecutive strikeouts in this inning for Ryan Garcia, and he's got 3 in the ball game overall.
Yeah, Garcia looks solid. You just got to get him. These pitchers that come in already riding a confidence wave, it only adds fuel to the fire to go down in order. Duke Ellis, a pesky out, someone who can get on base. Got to be patient here. See a few pitches and try to knock one through.
First pitch to Duke Ellis. Swing and a miss at another breaking ball, and Ryan Garcia really starting to feel it on the mound. He's only coming into this game having registered 12 innings on the Cape. Only has allowed 12 hits coming in, 3 runs, 3 walks, and 16 Ks. Fastball in the other batter's box for ball 1 on Ellis, a 1-1 count. Duke went 1 for 4 yesterday with 2 strikeouts. Holding an interesting looking bat. Look at the rustic tone on that thing as he takes a changeup in the dirt for ball 2.
Looks like a bamboo kind of artisan feel to that bat.
Yeah. Like burnt wood.
Looks like he threw it in the fire.
Yeah.
Put a marshmallow on the end of that.
Yeah.
And ended up burning the bat.
Let's see if he sparks something here with 2 outs. 2-1 runs up and in, a hard fastball. 3-1 count now to Duke.
We're going to have to go inspect that at some point. I wonder if it's paint or just wear and tear. I mean, it can't be wear and tear. It's black.
It looks brand new to me.
Yeah.
3-1 pitch inside, and Ellis drawing a 5-pitch walk to give Cotuit their first base runner of the day.
There you go. You don't need anything too fancy, nothing spectacular. Just get on base, get this guy out of his rhythm. And now a good hitter in Brady Smith coming up. We'll see if a little 2-out rally is just what the doctor ordered.
Brady Smith from Florida, utility man that gets the start at second base today. He can catch, he can play first, and pretty much anywhere in the infield. Mike Roberts putting him on the right side today for the first time. Batting 7th in the lineup. Runner on and Ellis with 2 outs. First pitch from Garcia is a breaking ball way up at the shoulders for ball 1. Smith, 6 for 13 with an RBI in his first few plate appearances with the Kettleers. He went 1 for 1 yesterday. Throw over to first to check on Ellis, who's got good speed. He's back in standing up, wearing that black mitten-esque oven mitt kind of looking thing to protect himself on the base pass. He's lanky at 6'3" and takes a big lead. 1-0 count on Smith. Fastball way outside as Martellini did a good job to spear it. 2-0 the count. He tried to snap back to first, but Ellis back in safe. Zach Humphreys waiting on the on-deck circle, and then Adam Oviedo if the inning continues. The 8 and 9 hitters for Cotuit. Garcia out of the stretch, lifts the leg to 2-0. Fastball right down the pipe for strike 1.
Brady Smith, a really consistent hitter and someone who Mike Roberts has kind of taken under his wing as a favorite so far. He stopped BP earlier today to commend Smith and give him a little shout out for being such a good hitter and for someone who really brings a good attitude.
The 2-1 with the runner going is cued right up the middle, past the diving Kreidler at short, and into center field, and now trouble with it in center from Skylar Hunter. A throw into third, not in time as Ellis takes advantage, and Brady Smith extends the inning, a 2-out single.
Nice little flare from Brady Smith, now 7 for 14 on the year. A lot of his hits are just those kind of little bloops. He hits it where they ain't. And a nice job base running from Duke Ellis. The hit and run was on. Ellis slid in, gathered himself, and then was monitoring the outfielder and Skylar Hunter to see kind of what was going on, if he was going to mess up. He did, and then good speed going into third. So now a big chance with runners on the corners. 2-out rally maybe for the Cats.
The Kettleers trying to push one across here, trailing 1-0 in the bottom of the second inning. First hit of the ball game for Cotuit, Brady Smith, a little bloop single into center field. Skylar Hunter had trouble with it, and the runner was going already in Ellis. He put the brakes on at second, but then once Hunter kind of booted the ball, he got up to third in time. First pitch to Humphreys, hit back on the line behind home plate, foul. Zach Humphreys getting the start today after going 0 for 2 last night against Hyannis. He was picked up in the middle of the game for a pinch hitter. Catcher out of TCU hitting .239 on the campaign, a home run and 3 runs driven in. Smith at first, Ellis at third. Throw over to first as Smith dives back in safely. So how about Brady Smith, who's now 7 for his first 14 with the Kettleers. Off to a nice start. We saw Mike Salvatore do a similar thing, going 6 for his first 12. Must be something with the Florida kids, Florida and Florida State. The 0-1 to Humphreys, off speed upstairs, 1-1. Beautiful day here at Lowell Park, sunny skies. Kettleers welcoming in Wareham for the second time this season, third overall matchup. Cotuit will be at Wareham tomorrow. Big Western Division swing at the end of this week. 1-1, hit hard back by Humphreys, who's on it, but not quite able to square one up. It's a 1-2 count. Cotuit hitting .237 as a team. That is the 8th best batting average in a 10-team Cape Cod baseball league. Their .338 OBP is by far the most respectable mark of the team. That's 5th in the league. .355 slugging percentage is 6th. Now the runner going at first, it's Smith, who's now hopping off in between first and second base, trying to stall for Ellis, but instead Valenzuela will apply a tag, and just like that, a base running blunder for Cotuit will end the inning. So Wareham still in front, 1-0, as we head to the third. Sam Brief with the play-by-play when we return here on the Cape Cod Baseball Network.
Welcome back to Lowell Park. 1-0 Wareham over Cotuit, top of the third. John Baker, Cotuit's ace, is on to work the third, where he'll see Isaac Collins, Sahid Valenzuela, and Jeremy Idens, the 1-2-3 hitters for Wareham. Sam Brief alongside my good friend Sam Niederman. A beautiful day here at Lowell Park. Just the picturesque Cape Cod day, the stuff you dream of. 74 degrees, sunny, just a few clouds overhead, a little bit of wind blowing out 10 miles per hour, and just a picture-perfect day for some baseball on this beautiful Thursday. It's the Kettleers and the Gatemen for the second time this season. Check that, the third time this season. The Gatemen have won the first 2 games 4-1 and 8-1. This is part of a home-and-home between the two sides. So tomorrow, 6:30 first pitch, Kettleers at the Gatemen. Other side of the canal at Spillane Field. We'll head over the bridge. We were at the Bourne Bridge the other day recording a social media video. Went dead center on the bridge as Baker kicks and deals. First pitch to Collins is hammered for a base hit into right center field. It's down. Duke Ellis picks it up in center. Collins wheeling around first into second, where he's standing up with a leadoff double to start the third.
How about Isaac Collins to start things off for Wareham? He's already got a single and a double. He's working as a progression towards the cycle at this rate. Hit that one right in the gap. Even though Ellis cut it off just before the wall, it was always going to be extra bases. And now John Baker really has to lock in out of the stretch, try and settle down the top of this Wareham order that's seeing him for the second time.
A great start for Isaac Collins here on the road, and that's where he's had his bread and butter this season. He's a .423 hitter away from Wareham, just .182 back home at Spillane. As John Baker steps off the mound, a quick pickoff motion, but no one's there to cover. Now it's Zahid Valenzuela, second baseman out of Cal State Fullerton, a .351 hitter on the season. He's been one of the nice surprises in this Wareham lineup as he digs in, a lefty against the righty Baker, who kicks and deals. Valenzuela showing bunt, pulls it back, but it's a fastball taken for strike one. Make sure to stick around in the 4th inning. A special guest coming up to our broadcast booth, Colin Haas-Hill, sports writer for the Cape Cod Times, covering all things Cape League, will join us for a conversation in the 4th. Here in the 3rd, an 0-1 count with no one out. Ground ball right side, scooped up by the first baseman Dillard. He hesitated for a moment, then ranges to the bag for out number 1. Again, a new right side of the infield for the Kettleers. Thomas Dillard making his first start of the season at first. He's been primarily a DH this season. We've seen him in the outfield, we've seen him at catcher, but at first today. And Brady Smith, who's been also a DH in and out of the order this season for Cotuit, is at second base. Oviedo at short, Reynolds at third. That's custom as the infield comes in with the runner on third advancing on that ground ball. First pitch to Jeremy Idens, hit high in the air, right side of the outfield. Will Robertson tracking under it. The runner's going to tag from third. The throw home is off target, and there goes Isaac Collins across home with the second run of the day for Wareham. It's 2-0 Gateman.
Idens doing his job for the Gatemen, getting that ball in the air with the infield playing in. Less than 2 outs. Sac fly is always going to work. And the Gatemen played another here, a 2-0 deficit early for Cotuit. Not much wrong that John Baker did in that. It's just a matter of Collins with that leadoff double. You get into scoring position to start the inning. It's tough to pitch around that. Now you got to get this batter, and hopefully the offense can start getting some run support.
It's Lyle Lockhart Jr. out of Houston at the plate. First pitch from Baker, zipped in, a fastball for strike one. 2-0 Gateman, top of the 3rd. The first run coming across in the 2nd inning. That was 2 consecutive wild pitches plating Ryan Kreidler, who came all the way from 2nd to 3rd on the first wild pitch, 3rd to home on the 2nd. And then the sac fly plating run number 2. It's a 1-1 count. 2 outs, no one on for Lockhart Jr. Baker deals, swung on and fouled off to the left side, a 1-2 count. Lockhart Jr., the first baseman today, he's 0 for 1 on the day, a .226 hitter on the season. A Houston Cougar out of Friendswood, Texas, switch hitting, a lefty against Baker. The 1-2 from Baker, swung on, chopped foul over towards the Wareham dugout on the first base side. Matt Miller, the first base coach, will pick it up. A lot of M's coaching the base paths today for Wareham. Matt Miller at first, Mike Mobbs at third. M. Get them some M&Ms.
Quadruple M's.
1-2 with 2 outs. Baker kicks, deals, and again fouled off. Tailing to the left side, it's a 1-2 count to Lockhart Jr. A two-way player. He's pitched this season for Wareham, for Houston. He was 1-2 with a 6.64 ERA. Also a near 300 hitter from the plate. He's furiously adjusting his batting gloves as he steps back in. to the left-handed batter's box. Baker ready. Here's the 1-2 from John. Swung on, a chopper up the middle, gets past Baker, gets past Oviedo, and spills into center for a base hit. There's a 2-out single for Lyle Lockhart Jr., and Wareham keeps the run here in the third going.
By the way, I wonder if they're friendly in Friendswood, Texas.
You think so?
I would hope so. Hopefully it's a city of friends.
It's kind of like
Just
Brady
make
Smith
friends.
from Niceville.
Niceville. I've been to Niceville, or at least driven through it.
And you said it was nice.
It is nice.
Nice people.
You're on the way to a great place, the Emerald Coast.
It's Paven Parks now. Third baseman out of Kent State. The lefty digs in, and Baker fires into first pitch ball outside. At first base, Lyle Lockhart Jr. It's 2-0 Gateman. Here in the top of the third with 2 outs.
How about this Maction right here? Baker from Ball State, Parks from Kent State.
Baker, the Ball State Cardinal, kicks and deals. It's ball 2 outside. Parks was all MAC second team. A transfer from Seminole State College in Florida, where he was the male athlete of the year. Tuesday night Maction, always a favorite of mine on ESPN. Right now, some Thursday afternoon Maction. Here's the 2-0 to Parks. Swung on and hammered high and deep into right field. Robertson tracking back. He's got a beat, and he's got the ball without number 3. But the Gatemen strike again. An RBI sac fly from Jeremy Ivins plays Isaac Collins. It's 2-0 Wareham heading into the home half of the third here on the Cape Cod Baseball Network. Bierman. Humphreys was at the plate when Brady Smith was caught in a pickle to end the second. First pitch from Garcia hit high and deep into left field, going back to the pole, and it's out of here. A home run for Zach Humphreys, just sneaking over the wall in deep left field. Hold up now. Mike Roberts out in shallow left field, arguing furiously with the third base umpire Brian Troop. I think they ruled it foul. As Zach Humphreys now at third base, holding his hands up, saying, "What's going on?" Hard from our vantage point to see if that ball was fair or foul. But it looks like they ruled it a foul ball. Coach Roberts has his hat off.
Coach Roberts
yelling.
He's telling Humphreys to go and touch home anyway. He can't believe it. That was tough from our vantage point. I couldn't quite see it, Sam. It was close to the foul pole, but the call was foul.
And now they reverse course. A home run for Zach Humphreys as the third base umpire Brian Troop waves the finger around. So the original call a foul ball, they reverse it to a fair ball and a home run for Zach Humphreys, the second of the season. So how about that? The second time this year we've seen the Kettleers embroiled in a fair foul controversy on a home run. And now Don Seddon, the Wareham manager, having a chat with Tim Perry, the home plate umpire. Adam Oviedo is on deck. He was the one embroiled in controversy back in Orleans. With the bases loaded, a ball that seemed to be foul was ruled a grand slam, and that time the Kettleers get a home run. It's 2-1, pending this conversation with Humphreys and the home plate umpire.
Mike Roberts had the best view of pretty much anybody except for Brian Troop, the third base umpire that made that call down the left field line. And I've never seen him so mad so far this season. I thought he might get tossed. I thought he was going to go down in a blaze of glory to fire up the team.
Right.
Threw off the helmet, hands in the air, screaming. He was able to argue his case, and Humphreys comes all the way home. Humphreys loves that left field fence here at Lowell Park, his second home run of the season, basically in the exact same area. Good spark for the Kettleers now, just a one-run game, and it just takes one to get this lineup going. And hat tip to Mike Roberts. You got to have some fire in the belly.
Totally. And
pick up this team when you're off to a little bit of a sluggish start, and big credit to the Cotuit manager there.
And Don Sneddon conceding his case, so a home run for Zach Humphreys. How about it? His second of the season. He hit no home runs last year for TCU with an aluminum bat. And this summer with a wood bat, 26 games in, already 2 home runs for Zach Humphreys. So a little bit of controversy. Originally ruled a foul ball, reversed to a home run. It's 2-1 as a first pitch strike is dealt in to Adam Oviedo, Humphreys' TCU teammate.
What is it with these TCU Horned Frogs in the left field foul pole, my friend?
They love it. They love it. Here's the 0-1 rather to Oviedo. He swings and misses for strike 2. So Humphreys with the home run. The first run of the day for the Kets, and it's 2-1 Wareham, bottom of the third. Still no one out for Adam Oviedo, who knows a thing or two about hitting home runs to that foul pole. Here comes the 0-2. Garcia kicks and deals. It's low. Ball 1.
What was so confusing about that is the Kettleers fans on the left grandstand started clapping and applauding as if it was a home run. And then all of a sudden, I saw Brian Troop at third base saying it was foul.
There's a swing and a miss from Oviedo, but a drop third strike. The ball rolls to the backstop, and Oviedo gets to first.
Okay, now that's the second time that's happened for Oviedo in the last 3 games. He had it against Orleans and came around to score a big run in the rally. He hustles
that one
there.
Wasn't even close.
Yeah, he hustles there and gets down to first, and now you still have nobody out in the inning, and the top of the order coming to the plate.
A good spot for Cotuit. Zach Bierman up now. Tolia on deck. Dillard in the hole. No one out. Bottom 3. It's 2-1 Wareham. Bierman's 0 for 1 today. He sets in the lefty against the righty Garcia, who deals in a first pitch ball that trails inside. So Garcia, this will be his 4th start of the season. He's got a 2.25 ERA. With Joey Matulovic, who was Wareham's ace, heading over to the Milwaukee Brewers system. He was drafted. Garcia considered one of the aces. Here's the 1-0 to Bierman. He swings right through it, and the count now 1-1. Garcia out of UCLA, 6'1", 185, a junior from Sierra Madre, California. No stranger to summer ball. He was in the Northwoods League last year with Waterloo. 1.88 ERA and a 3-2 record for them. Here's the 1-1 to Bierman. Smacked high in the air on the infield, left side. The shortstop in Ryan Kreidler ranges over and makes the catch right on the foul line. There's one out here in the 3rd. Garcia was a force to be reckoned with in the Pac-12 this past season. He was 2nd in the league with a 188 opposing batting average, and his 2.23 ERA was also 2nd in the Pac-12. He was the Sunday starter for UCLA, and now here's his Bruin teammate in Michael Tolia facing Garcia for the 2nd time today. So 1 out now. Oviedo at first, bottom of the 3rd. Tolia looking to get bragging rights against Garcia, who sends in a first pitch curveball high at the letters for ball 1. Tolia one of 4 Bruins in the starting lineup today for both sides. It's him, then Garcia the pitcher, Ryan Kreidler, and Jeremy Idens. Garcia sets the 1-0, is taken low, it skips past Martellini. There's a free pass to second for Adam Oviedo, and a runner in scoring position for Tolia.
There's a break for Cotuit with the pass ball. Martellini unable to make a clean play on it behind the plate. That's now 2 free bases for the Kettleers in this inning, both awarded to Adam Oviedo when the ball gets behind the catcher, and now a man in scoring position for Tolia. beautiful opportunity for Cotuit to tie this thing up.
Quick conference between Martellini and Garcia. It's a 2-0 count to Tolia. 2-1 Wareham, bottom of the third, but the Kettleers a chance to strike. Garcia getting the signal from Martellini, the former Kettleer, as this pair of UCLA teammates doing battle. Here comes the 2-0 to Tolia. Taken low, ball 3, and Michael Tolia sitting in the catbird seat. Tolia, a 206 hitter on the season, 3 dingers and 9 batted in. He had a hit yesterday in the 5-2 loss at Hyannis. 3 balls, no strikes. Here's the pitch. Hits the inside corner on a fastball, called strike 1.
Just gotta love this UCLA versus UCLA matchup. Tolia can really get some bragging rights here if he gets a base knock to tie this game, or, dare I say, long ball to give his team the lead.
Let's see. First, Garcia tried to check on the runner, but just a fake pickoff motion as no one was there to cover. That's Oviedo at second. A 3-1 count. Cotuit and Wareham, first leg of a home and home. Back tomorrow from Spillane Field. Here comes the 3-1 from Garcia. He checks on the runner, now kicks and deals to Tolia. It skips in the dirt, low for ball 4. Now 2 runners aboard for Cotuit and Thomas Dillard coming up.
Gotta make him pay here with the heart of the order. Pitching and catching mistakes in this inning, allowing some base runners to it. The wild pitches to get Adam Oviedo on the drop third strike, and then up to second base, and then a walk to Tolia. Big chance Thomas Dillard.
Dillard, a switch hitter, going lefty against the righty, and Garcia has 2 runners on. Oviedo at second and Tolia at first. 1 out, bottom of the third. Garcia kicks and fires to Dillard. First pitch ball. That one trailing inside, and we can feel the momentum kind of shifting as a breeze rolls in over Lowell Park. The Kettleers were down 2-0 heading into this inning. A leadoff home run from Zach Humphreys made it 2-1. And now the Kets threatening again. Garcia kicks and deals to Dillard. This one high for ball 2. Dillard with a little excuse me swing, but did not go around, so it's ball 2. Dilly has 3 home runs on the season, was a participant in the College Home Run Derby in Omaha last week, where he became the first Ole Miss Rebel to make it to the second round. Garcia shakes off the first signal, likes the second. Now here's his 2-0 to Dillard. Swung on and popped high behind home plate. Martellini, helmet off. He's tracking down the ball, and it lands in his glove right in front of the backstop for out number 2. Nice play from the former Kettleer in John Martellini. And now Will Robertson, the last hope for the Kettleers, with 2 runners on, 2 outs here in the third.
This is a place where Robertson has thrived this season. He's driven in 12 with runners on base so far. Of course, those 12 RBIs, 12 of his 13. And that's what dropping him back in the order can do, and he has a chance to make that strategic move pay off for Mike Roberts.
Runners take their leads. That's Oviedo and Tolia. First pitch to Robertson, pinned on the outside corner, strike 1. Infield shifting just a little bit to the right for the pull hitter in Robertson. Sahid Valenzuela, the second baseman, pacing around in shallow right field. The shortstop Kreidler trying to hold the runner on in Adam Oviedo. Here's the 0-1 to Robertson. It skips in the dirt, ball 1. Reynolds on deck, Ellis in the hole as the Kettleers look to knot this one up. And it's Will Robertson at the plate. Sam mentioned his prowess with runners on. He's a .244 hitter on the season. That average bumps up 100 points with runners.